Hello young learner, my name is Amee, and I am 28 years old. I want to share my story with you. In the first year of our marriage, life felt like a dream. We cooked together, traveled to new places, and supported each other. Ryan always told me, "We're a team, Amee. Together, we can do anything." I believed him. I believed in us. Life was good, and I thought it would always be like this. But sometimes, life changes in ways we don't expect. The happy beginnings of my marriage would soon take a different turn. I didn't know it then, but our story was about to face challenges. The second year of our marriage started with small changes. Ryan and I were still close, but there were tiny cracks in our relationship. At first, I didn't notice them. We were both busy. Ryan had a new job, and I was finishing a course I had started. We spent less time together, but I thought it was just temporary. One evening, Ryan came home late from work. I had cooked his favorite meal, spaghetti and meatballs. But when he arrived, he barely touched it. He said he was too tired to eat. I felt sad but didn't say anything. Over time, these moments became more common. He was tired, stressed, and distant. I missed the Ryan who used to laugh with me and talk to me about his day. I tried to make things better. I planned date nights, wrote him little notes, and asked how I could help. Sometimes, he smiled and said thank you. Other times, he seemed annoyed. "Amee, I'm just busy. You don't need to do all this," he said one day. His words hurt, but I pretended they didn't. We also started arguing about small things. Once, we argued about the laundry. Another time, it was about what movie to watch. These fights didn't feel important, but they left me feeling uneasy. It was like a storm was building, and I didn't know how to stop it. Despite these tensions, I told myself everything would be okay. I thought, this is just a phase. Every couple has ups and downs. But deep inside, I was scared. What if this wasn't just a phase? What if things didn't get better? It happened on a rainy evening. I remember it clearly because the rain matched how I felt inside. That day, I had asked Ryan to come home early so we could talk. I wanted to share my feelings and understand his. I thought, if we talk, we can fix this. When he came home, he looked tired and frustrated. He dropped his bag on the floor and sighed. "What is it, Amee?" he asked. His tone was sharp, and it hurt me. But I stayed calm. I told him how I felt. I told him I missed the way things used to be. At first, he listened. Then, he interrupted me. "You think I don't miss that too?" he said. His voice was loud now. "Do you know how hard I'm working? I'm trying my best, Amee, but you keep pushing me." I felt my heart sink. I wasn't trying to push him. I was trying to save us. But in that moment, all my emotions came out. I raised my voice too. "I'm not pushing you. I'm asking for your time. Is that too much?" The argument grew louder. We said things we didn't mean. I told him he didn't care about me anymore. He told me I was too demanding. Each word was like a knife, cutting deeper and deeper. By the end of the argument, we were both in tears. Ryan said, "I can't do this anymore, Amee." Then he walked out of the room. I sat there, shaking, with tears streaming down my face. The rain outside felt like it was crying with me. The days after the argument were the hardest. Ryan and I barely spoke. When we did, it was cold and distant. The warmth that once filled our home was gone. It felt like living with a stranger. I tried to fix things. I wrote him a letter, pouring out my heart. I apologized for my part in the fight and asked him to talk to me. He read the letter but didn't say much. I need time, he said. So I gave him space. But the distance between us only grew. I spent a lot of time alone, thinking about what had gone wrong. I replayed the argument in my head over and over. I thought about the good times we had shared and wondered if we could ever get back to that place. Ryan started staying out late. When I asked where he was, he would say, "Just out with friends." But I didn't feel like he was being honest. The trust between us was breaking, and it hurt so much. One night, I found myself crying in bed. I missed Ryan. I missed the man I had fallen in love with. But I also felt angry. Why wasn't he trying? Why did it feel like I was the only one fighting for our marriage? The loneliness was overwhelming. In those moments, I started to realize something important. Love isn't just about happy moments. It's about working through the hard times together. And right now, we weren't doing that. I wanted to save our marriage, but I couldn't do it alone. The breaking point came a few weeks later. Ryan and I were sitting in the living room, both silent. The air between us felt heavy. I couldn't take it anymore. I asked him, "Ryan, do you still love me?" He looked at me, and for a moment, I saw the man I had married. But then he looked away. "Amee, I don't know," he said softly. His words felt like a punch to my chest. I didn't know what to say. Tears filled my eyes, and I asked, "What happened to us?" He shook his head. "I don't know," he said again. "Maybe we're just too different. Maybe we're not meant to be." Hearing those words broke something inside me. I realized that Ryan had already given up. No matter how much I loved him, I couldn't make him stay. Love has to be a two-way street, and right now, it wasn't. The next day, Ryan packed his bags and left. He said he needed time to think, but deep down, I knew he wasn't coming back. Watching him walk out of the door was the hardest thing I've ever done. My heart felt like it was shattering into a million pieces. I cried for days. I felt like a failure. But as time passed, I started to see things more clearly. Sometimes, love isn't enough to make a relationship work. And sometimes, letting go is the most loving thing you can do. It's been a year since Ryan and I separated. The pain is still there, but it has become easier to carry. I've had time to reflect on everything that happened, and I've learned some valuable lessons. The first lesson is about communication. Looking back, I see that Ryan and I stopped communicating. We stopped listening to each other. In any relationship, talking and listening are so important. If you don't share your feelings, they build up and create problems. The second lesson is about balance. I learned that love is not just about giving or taking. It's about finding a balance. Both people need to put in effort. Both people need to care and try. The third lesson is about self-love. For a long time, I blamed myself for our marriage ending. But I've realized that it wasn't all my fault. Relationships involve two people, and both of us made mistakes. I've learned to forgive myself and to be kinder to myself. Now, I'm focusing on rebuilding my life. I'm spending time with friends and family, doing things that make me happy, and growing as a person. I've started a journal where I write down my thoughts and feelings. It helps me process everything and find peace. Sharing this story with you has also been part of my healing. If you're going through a hard time, I want you to know that it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to cry. But remember, life goes on. You can learn from your pain and become stronger. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it has inspired you and helped you learn English. Remember, Every end is a new beginning, and every challenge is an opportunity to grow.